Welcome to Weed News at 420. Today we show you some segments from Tennessee's marijuana decriminalization efforts that you might not have seen. This first one comes out of Nashville.
Nashville tonight became the first city in the state of Tennessee to make possession of a small amount of marijuana a misdemeanor. Instead of jail time, police officers can issue a citation punishable by a $50 fine or community service. The city council voted overwhelmingly in favor of the ordinance by a vote of 35-3. The Memphis City Council moved one step closer to passing the same pot proposal tonight. It sailed through a second reading, which means the third and final reading is likely 2 weeks from tonight. Councilman Berlin Boyd says the goal is to help young people avoid the cycle of being in and out of jail and unable to get meaningful work.
With Nashville taking such a proactive approach on pro-marijuana, it doesn't seem like the rest of the state will take long to follow suit. Now Memphis joins on board.
Because there does seem to be a misconception. This was not legalizing marijuana in any way, but it was an effort to hopefully not basically tarnish someone's job prospects and their futures, basically, if they should get caught with a little amount of marijuana on them. However, I thought the point that the police director made this week about how much pot is in a half an ounce and how many papers can be rolled, basically, to make that happen. He was very, shall we say, blunt about it. And he's concerned about that. He's concerned that people think, oh, now it's legal, and it's like living in Colorado or Washington State, and that's not the case, Ryan.
Yeah. After the vote, it was a close vote, 7-6, and after the vote, I had people tweeting me, saying, I'm coming back home, I'm going to move back home. It sounded like a lot of people...
What kind of friends do you keep?
a lot of people, I think, have that misconception. And Councilwoman Janice Fullove even mentioned this before the vote. She said that people are going to be running up to police officers, she said, and saying, taking a puff on a joint and saying, you can't touch me. But that, of course, isn't going to happen because police officers can still arrest people. They have a choice between arresting someone under the state law or citing them and sending them to city court. So the big question now is city court ready to take on however many people this is going to be? Director Rawlings said it was about 655 people that were arrested last year for marijuana only possession of a half ounce or less. So if 655 people are going through this process a year, it could be a significant change for the city court, which hasn't been doing this. So
especially when you consider, Otis, that what I'm told is a lot of officers were already letting it slide. Right. Basically, if they were finding someone with a small amount on them. What's your take on it?
Well, and I think you're going to find even more officers now letting it slide even more because they just don't want the headache. They will look for other more serious things to do, which I think was the intention of the law in the first place. But there is a lot of misconception out there. Ryan is absolutely right on this. Some people think it is legal now to smoke marijuana, and it's not. And I'm glad to see the police director make that statement the other night on News Channel 3. But I think what's going to happen here over time, it'll probably sort itself out. I think the intention, and I've said this before, the intention was to not stigmatize people with a minor infraction such as smoking a joint with a police record, even though it's a misdemeanor. It hurts their lives. But at the same time, you cannot have a community without any kind of, I hate to use this law and order term, but you don't want to turn the community over to to Potville. Mm-hmm. So there has to be a balance here. I think that the courts and the police and the elected officials can work on that balance, and people will act reasonably in this.
And the big question now is, what are the other suburban areas going to do?
Well, we know the county commission, Commissioner Turner is already thinking that he can at least introduce a similar ordinance for unincorporated Shelby County. But you're right, then it's up to the suburbs to decide what they want to do.
Right. With steps like this, Tennessee won't just be a decriminalized state, they'll be a legal state before too long. If you like this news break about Tennessee, then check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, where you can find many more cool stories, as well as our Weed News at 420 app and the Google Play Store. It holds all our videos. Check it out.